I'm out here on Jackson Square at the art stand. See? I know I barely talk to y'all about my artwork. I don't know why, probably because it's pretty much effortless at this point. I had my first art classes when I was maybe in the 3rd grade. So I think that was around 1987, 1988. And this painting right here that y'all looking at is celebrating 20 years of me painting. And I started this series about 2 years ago. And these little musicians, I started doing these, I think, maybe 5 years ago. I kind of wanted to re-energize my jazz people. At first I was doing these with jazz musicians in tuxedos. I started this series probably in 2004. And you can see they got a little guy behind him, and then I scratched it off without even blacking it out. I just painted right on top of him with a stick figure with a tuxedo on. And you know, this is the style that I was doing, I think 2003. So you got 20 years of my art as the frame. And this is my first painting I did at my mom's kitchen table when she was renting this house right here, 3907 St. Claude, that I currently own. I bought this 10 years ago cash. Yep, it's the first one right here that I did. And a lot of the shapes, geometric shapes and stuff, was inspired by a sculptor. I forgot his name, but he's a sculptor. He do a lot of sculptures on the NutriGround and stuff made out of aluminum, and he used a lot of lines and circles and squares and connect them all these different ways. So that was inspired by that, and I always was a fan of stained glass. That's why you got the separation of colors in here. This half face is elements of my face as a young teen, and I'm horrible at doing portraits, but that's kind of like what that is. So I did a half face because I'm not good at doing faces, but I thought I could pull off a half face. For some reason I didn't draw an ear, but we're not gonna talk about that right now. But after I did this painting, I knew I was gonna be painting for the rest of my life. So yeah, I got all these shapes and colors in this painting. Yeah, this one sold, I gotta ship it off. And these little jazz guys, you can't really see, but it's kind of elevated. And the reason why I elevated the jazz guys, I wanted to mimic these statues I seen in my friend Maurice's house. There's little jazz statues, so I still wanted to keep that 3-dimensional element to the little men. And I like the movement of them and stuff. And then down here, what you have is the 2 bridges that bring you into the city, the Superdome, simplified, the 3 tops on the cathedral, and the river. Yep, so there you have it, 20 years of my artwork. And I wanted to do a frame that I don't know of any artist doing in the art world. I actually did this frame first with all these different images on it with my photography when I did a shoot in Cuba. And then I flipped it and put my art around it and did my 20 years of Reggieart. Yeah, so just wanted to make an original statement. And as far as a painter, I'm not the best painter at all, but I try and be original. They have a lot of artists way better than me at painting, but I always try and come up with an original concept that's a little different from everybody else. And what led me to doing these figures that you could kind of see through and see the background, my biggest strength is doing abstract paintings, like pure colors. That's my strongest suit. I'm not good at doing fingers, hands, faces, or none of that. I could do it, but it take way too long. My architectural type paintings, they kind of step my game up on that, but photorealism and all that, I can't do that. But far as making an original statement, that's my thing. I could throw something together that really haven't been seen before in that way. And that's very hard because there's hundreds of thousands of painters out there, hundreds of thousands. So this is my own creative original statement with this frame like this, with the jazz musicians floating around. In the background, let me tell you about my background. I started doing this background because I used to airbrush. And if you remember, when you start airbrushing, you always start from the center with white, then yellow, then orange, then red. And then you write their name across it, right? And you put stars. I used to airbrush and cut hair when I was 17, 18. I had my own little shop in the back of my parents' house. So I used to be airbrushing names and stuff. So what I did was I flipped it. I did it with a brush. Dig? White, yellow, orange, red. You feel me? And if I want to draw your eye to the center, sometimes I paint the edges dark to bring your eyes back to the center. So I know how to control your eyes on painting and take you through it. But anyway, I did the background with the paint instead of the airbrush paint. And then instead of drawing stars, you know you can't draw no damn stars with a paintbrush, I splashed the paint and let that be my stars. And then out of instinct, I threw green at it. And that been pretty my signature base on a lot of my paintings. It's crazy that it's like 15 plus years later, people still love this background. This may be the first time I did this background. Either this one, no, this one. That was the first time I did this background. You could tell at that time I was just doing just a yellow, but I found starting with the white made it pop better. And back then I was tying it all into New Orleans with the rod iron and stuff. My little rod iron was kind of crazy. But yeah, I started these way back before Katrina. After a trip to Chicago, and the guy that owned the cabinet shop was like, man, you gotta make stuff that people want to put in their living room. And I was like, oh, all right, because I was doing all kind of other paintings and stuff. And then at the time, one of my biggest influences was Lionel Milton, because he embodied what I always thought an artist could accomplish, but he was already like doing it. And me and him have a similar color palette at the time, the colors we choose. So he was a big inspiration about just watching him paint and stuff. I was like, man, damn, maybe I could be a full-time artist or whatever. But because back then everybody was like, you're not gonna make no money selling art. But from day one, I was really, really successful. I ain't gonna go into the money part, but things worked out very good for me as soon as I started selling art. And one of the things that helped it work out good was the digital prints. Digital prints came out where you could print your own stuff, take your own pictures, and I would just mount them and bag them up. Bought my first house just doing that, selling 5x10s. I mean 5x7s. And then I turned this into like a reproduced piece with my custom, art epoxies. That's the technical name for these. They're actually a real technical name for it and trademark. But when we did this, I had to get my boy Io to actually help me put this together. He used the digital process on this and digitally put each square there and blocked it off, and he did a great job. And I thought people would like it, but I never knew that I would sell so many of these. Sold a ton of these, like a real ton of these. Tons of them. But these are actually physical pictures that's hand laid and put in there, each one. And now, that's just a blueprint to this whole little thing right here. I could talk on and on about art or whatever, but I just wanted to at least drop one video about my art, explaining a few things. I'll go into further detail, let somebody interview me or something one day so we could go have a back and forth, have a better dialogue. Okay, hope y'all enjoy y'all day. Later.